Our nation's top secrets are in the hands of thousands and thousands of contractors. Why is the government trusting them with secrets about you? Today, contracting firm Booz Allen Hamilton firing Edward Snowden for leaking tons of crucial information. Former CIA Director James Woolsey is also a former Booz Allen Vice President. He joins us. Nice to see you, sir.
Good to be with you, Greg.
So why do we have so many contractors? Why don't we why don't we have this internally?
I suppose part of the reason is that Congress passes laws requiring lots of things to be done, and then they don't authorize enough people in the civil service to do it. And those slots are filled up by contractor people. And I got to say that it's not always the civil servants who are the more trustworthy. We captured a man named Edward James while I was a director, a spy, a terrible spy, and he was not a contractor. And we captured a couple of years later Robert Hansen, an FBI agent, who was a terrible spy. So it's the quality of the individuals and the preparation and the schooling and so forth, I think, more than whether or not they're contractors or members of the civil service.
Is there anything, and I realize we only have a very limited amount of data so soon, but is there anything peculiar about Snowden in terms of he was only with Booz Allen 3 months, before that he'd been with a contractor, before that he'd been with the CIA? Anything unusual about his clearances to you? Nothing?
I have no idea.
Nothing at all?
I don't know.
What happens when someone gets a security clearance and works like a Booz Allen for about 10 years and leaves Booz Allen? Do you lose your security clearance?
It depends on whether or not it's transferred to a new place. If you leave one contractor and go to the other and you're working on intelligence matters and you can keep your clearance updated, you don't lose it. But if you just quit or you go off to do something else, then I think relatively short order your clearance is lifted.
Well, Booz Allen, according to what I've read, which is now owned by the Carlyle Group, does most of its business with government contracts.
It may. Okay. I haven't been there for 6 years.
Well, the numbers that have been reported to me is that they have about 25,000 employees, and about 75% of them have security clearances. That seems like a lot of security clearances outsourced.
I don't know. It's possible. I haven't gone into their clearance process or had anything to do with Booz Allen really for 6 years.
Any sort of thought about how damaging the leak is?
Oh, I think it's very damaging because it gives terrorists an idea of how we collect and what we might know. And you can't just inform the American people. You're informing the terrorists when you lay something like that out. It's really kind of the function. What Snowden has done is kind of the functional equivalent of what Stimson, the Secretary of State, did in the late 20s. He stopped all the State Department's code breaking of other countries because he said, gentlemen don't read one another's mail. He was probably pretty glad that the U.S. Navy was not being gentlemanly with respect to Japanese codes, because otherwise we might have lost the Battle of Midway. And when you make a decision, as Snowden did, that you're going to take the place of the President and the Congress and the judges that are on the FISA court, and you're the one who's going to decide the balance, as the President put it, between security and privacy, you are undertaking an action that could very well get people killed. And I suppose Snowden either doesn't care or just doesn't think about it. I don't know.
You know, do you think that the people who are terrorists, that they wouldn't realize? I guess I may have seen too many television shows, but I would have thought that they would have not wanted to use telephones anyway, or the internet, that they would have been wised up to that one by now.
Well, people can be careless, and you know, we have had programs for decades in which the government has access to and keeps records on what's on the outside of the envelope. It's called, I think it's called a mail, some kind of a mail system, but that's been sanctioned by the Supreme Court for decades. So we've been doing with first-class mail for decades what we're now doing with this new program that's monitored a lot more than the mail program ever was.
Every piece of mail?
Whenever they want. There's an authority. It's the mail registration program or something like that. Alan Dershowitz had a small piece about it in the Wall Street Journal today.
But the telephone is everybody. Was the mail system everybody?
Pretty much people who communicated, who wanted to communicate. That's what they did. They wrote letters in ancient times. And so, you know, we have had a system for decades, and we have one now, but it's much better supervised than anything was under the post office in the old days. Supervised by the courts, supervised by hearings before congressional committees and the rest. And what they have, and I think this bears on Jim Clapper's statement, what they have is not. They have data of some sort. It's what's on the exterior of the communication, but they don't have content. I think Clapper's statement would have been more accurate if he'd have said, we have data, the addresses and so forth, but we don't have content.
Except that if they know you called a hotline, a suicide hotline, they got a little content.
Well, I mean, by implication, maybe you're a prankster and you just like it. You just,
yeah,
know,
right.
Who knows?
That's right. Well, that'd be a dumb thing to do. But anyway.
People do a lot of dumb things.
Indeed. Nice to see you, sir. Always nice to see you.
Good to see you guys.
And tonight.